Okay, so we are live on YouTube now. Okay, so we'll have to delete the files from the Zoom because they are on cloud and it has a limited space. All right, so we are live and we have also started the recording. You can start.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने
श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे
नमस्ते सरस्वते
जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद
जय श्री कृष्ण
चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे हरे राम हरे राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
हरे कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Jai Radha Shyam Sundar Radha Shyam Sundar Radhe Jai Radha Madhav Radha Madhav Radhe Jai Radha Ras Bihari Radha Ras Bihari Radhe Jai Radha Madan Mohan Radha Madan Mohan Radhe Jai Radha Govind Radha Govind Radhe Jai Radha Gopinath Radha Gopinath Radhe Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada Jaya Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Gurudeva Jaya Gurudeva Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol
Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol,
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Yeah, it was very nice kirtan. Much better than what I do. So I think you should be regularly doing kirtan now, at least on our Zoom group.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
See the effect of kirtan. You have made me into a gopi.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Anyways, but yeah, it was very good kirtan.
Thank you.
Yeah, you have a very sweet voice. So one second. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जलाशलाकाय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay, so we will be continuing from verse number 71. One second. Okay, so let's start with verse number 71. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila chapter 8, verse number 71. प्रभु कहे एहो है आगे कह आर, रह कहे दास्य प्रेम सर्व साध्य सार. Prabhu kahe, the Lord said, Eho haya, this is all right. Aage kaha ar, please speak more. Raya kahe, Ramanda Rai replied, Dasya prema, spontaneous love in the humor of servitude. Sarva sadhya sar, the essence of perfection. Translation: Herein up to the point of spontaneous love, the Lord said, This is all right, but if you know more, please tell me. In reply, Ramanda Rai said, Spontaneous loving service in servitude. as exchanged by master and servant is the highest perfection. Spontaneous loving service to the Lord is called devotional service with an intimate attachment between the servitor and the served. This intimacy is called mamta. Between the servitor and the served, there is a feeling of oneness. This mamta begins with dasa prem, service rendered to the master by the servant. Unless there is such a relationship, the loving affairs between Lord and his devotee are not actually fixed. When the devotee feels the Lord is my master and renders service unto him, Krishna consciousness is awakened. This fixed consciousness is on higher platform than simple cognizance of love of Godhead. Okay, next. जन्नाम श्रुति मात्रेण पुमान् भवति निर्मल तस्य तीर्थ पदा किं वा दासानाम् अविष्यते avashishyate yet of whom nama of the name Shruti Matrena, simply by hearing Uman, a person Bhavati becomes Nirmala pure, Tasya of him Tirtha Pada of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, at whose lotus feet are all places of pilgrimage. Kim, what, Va, more, Dasanam of the servants, Avashishyate is remaining. A man becomes purified simply by hearing the holy name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose lotus feet create the holy places of pilgrimage. Therefore, what remains to be attained by those who have become his servants? This is a quotation from Srimad Bhagavatam
Which verse
9.5.16
number?
and 72.
Okay. Thank you.
This is quotation from Bhagavatam 9.5.16 and is an admission by the great sage Durvas Muni. Durvas Muni, a caste Brahman and great yogi, used to hate Maharaj Ambarish. When he decided to chastise Maharaj Ambarish through his yogic powers, he was chased by the Sudarshan Chakra of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When things were settled, he said, when the holy name of Supreme Personality of Godhead is heard by any person, that person is immediately sanctified. The Supreme Lord is master of the devotees, and the devotees under his shelter naturally come to own his opulences. Yeah. So I remember there is one purport by Vishwanath Chakra Thakur about Durvasa Muni running and trying to get the mercy of shelter of Brahma, Shiva, and then finally Vishnu. And he also goes to the Vaikuntha and where Lord Vishnu is residing in the Shir Sagar. So Durvas Muni is kind of begging for forgiveness from the Lord, but the Lord is actually refusing because whenever devotees of the Lord are offended, the Lord does not forgive. If the Lord is offended, then the Lord can forgive very easily, very quickly. But if the devotees of the Lord are offended, then the Lord does not forgive easily. And he will always suggest a remedy to go to the devotee and beg for forgiveness. So in this case also the same thing happened, but Vishwanath Chakra Thakur in his Bhagavatam commentary to this verse, or whichever verse, but related to the chapter, he says that actually Durvasa Muni, just by taking shelter of the holy name of Vishnu, he was freed from this offense. But in order to set an example, Vishnu did not externally forgive him. So basically, he orchestrated that my devotees are so dear to me that even if you commit offense to me, I will forgive easily. But if you commit offense to devotee, then the only remedy is that you have to go to the devotee and beg forgiveness. So this Mahavishnu wanted to, Shirashai Vishnu or Lord Vishnu wanted to exemplify. That's why he did not forgive Durvas Muni, and he told him that he should go and beg forgiveness from Ambarish Maharaj. Yeah, so this is the significance. So yeah, it is true that the name is so potent. Just by taking shelter of the name, even offenses can be destroyed actually. Although we have offenses to the holy name, but sometimes the name will show its extreme mercy also, and the name will forgive those who commit offenses to the holy name also. And because ultimately the Lord is beyond any kind of rules and regulations, and he is at free will to decide what he wants to do. So definitely this is a general circumstance that without getting rid of the offenses, you cannot chant purely, and you have to take appropriate steps, or you have to correct yourself. Then only the holy name will reveal to us. But it is also possible that without, I mean, sometimes just by chanting the holy name, what to speak of karma, but even offenses can be destroyed. So that's a special mercy of Lord. But these are all very special circumstances and cases. It does not happen with each and every person. Maybe 1 out of 1,000,000, like that it may happen. Okay. So this is the commentary by Vishwanath Chakravarti. I'm just sharing it because just to share that what is the potency of the holy name, and sometimes it can even go beyond the rules and regulations of Shastra. Okay. Yeah. So any comment or question on this?
No problem.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no, none from my side.
भवन्तमेवानुचरन् निरन्तर प्रशन्तनिशेषमनोरथान्तर तदाहम् ऐकान्तिकनित्यकिङ्कर प्रहर्षयिष्यामि सनातजीवितम्. Bhavantam, you, eva certainly, anucharan, serving, nirantara, always, prashanta, pacified, nishesh, all, mana, ratha, desires, antara, other, kada, when, aham, I, ekantika, exclusive, nitya, eternal, kinkara, servant, prahar, shaishami, I shall become joyful, sa, natha, with a fitting master, jivitam, living. Once again. Yeah, so I just wanted to add in the previous verse that here Durvas Muni himself is actually saying that when the holy name of Supreme Lord is heard, that person is immediately sanctified. So indirectly, he is actually glorifying the holy name, how the holy name relieved him from this great offense to Maharaj Ambrish. Okay. By serving you constantly, one is freed from all material desires and is completely pacified. When shall I engage as your permanent eternal servant and always feel joyful to have such a perfect master? This is a statement made by the great saintly devotee Yamunacharya in his Stotra Ratna 43. Prabhu kahe eo haya kichu age ara, raya kahe sakhya prema sarva sadhya sara. Prabhu kahe, the Lord said, eo haya, this is all right, kichu, something, age, ahead, ara, more. Raya kahe, Ramandarai replied, sakhya prem, transcendental loving service in fraternity, sarva sadhya sara, highest perfectional stage. Hearing this from Ramandarai, the Lord again requested him to go a step further. Ramandarai said, loving service to Krishna rendered in fraternity is the highest perfection. So we are progressing from Shantaras to Dasya and now to Sakya. As long as loving service is rendered to the Lord in the master-servant relationship, there is some fear, for the servant is always afraid of the master, despite the intimacy of self-interest. In this age, the servant is always afraid of the master and respectful of him. When the devotee is further advanced, he has nothing to fear. He considers the Lord and himself on an equal level. At such a time, the devotee is fully convinced that Lord Krishna is a friend and cannot at all be dissatisfied if the devotees live with him on an equal level. This understanding is called Vishrambha, that is, devoid of respectful attitude. When this attitude is chosen, it becomes Sakya Prem or love of Godhead in friendship. On this stage, there is developed consciousness or equality between the Lord and the devotee. Okay, who will like to continue?
I can continue, Prabhuji. If
Okay.
when I can. Ittam shatam brahma sukhanu it- ittam satam brahma sukhanu bhutaya dasyam gatanam para daivatena maya shritanam naradarakena sardham vijahrukruta punya punjaha. Itham, in this way, satam, of persons who prefer the impersonal feature of the Lord, Brahma, of the impersonal effulgence, Sukha, by the happiness, Anubhutaya, who is realized, Dashyam, the mode of servitude, Gatanam, of those who have accepted, Paradaivatena, who is the supreme worshipable deity, Maya Ashritam, Maya Ashritanam, for ordinary persons under the clutches of the external energy, Naradarakena, with him who is like a boy of this material world, Sardham, in friendship, Vijaru, played, Kritapunya, Punja, those who have accumulated volumes of pious activities. Translation. Neither those engaged in the self realization of appreciating the Brahman effulgence of the Lord nor those engaged in devotional service while accepting the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Master, nor those under the clutches of Maya, thinking the Lord an ordinary person, can understand that certain exalted personalities, after accumulating volumes of pious activities, are now playing with the Lord in friendship as coward boys. Purport. This is a statement made by Shukadev Goswami, who appreciated the good fortune of the cowherd boys who played with Krishna and ate with him on the banks of the Yamuna. प्रभु कहे एहो उत्तम आगे का हग आरा राया कहे वात्सल्य प्रेम सर्व साध्य सारा. Prabhu kahe, the Lord said, Eho Uttama, it is very good. Age, still further. Kaha, speak. Ara more, Raya kahe, Raya replied. Vatsalya Prema, loving service to the Lord in the stage of parental love. Sarva Sadhisara, the highest perfectional stage. The Lord said, this statement is very good, but please proceed even further. Ramananda Rai then replied, loving service to the Lord in the parental relationship is the highest perfectional stage. Purport. The stage of loving service to the Lord in parental affection is an advanced stage of love in fraternity. In the fraternal relationship, there is a sense of equality. But when that sense of equality is advanced in affection, one attains the platform of parental love. In this connection, the following verse is cited from Srimad Bhagavatam 10.8.46, wherein Shukadev Goswami voices the appreciation of Nanda Maharaja's and Mother Yashoda's intense love for Krishna. Nanda kim akarod brahman shreya evam mahodayam yashoda mahabhaga papav yasya stanam hari. Nanda Maharaj, Kim, what? Akarot has performed, Brahman, O Brahmana, Shreya, auspicious activities, Evam, thus, Maha Udayam, rising to such an exalted position as the father of Krishna, Yashoda, Mother Yashoda, Va, or Mahabhaga, most fortunate, Papo, drank, Yasya, of whom, Stanam, by the breasts, Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Ramananda Rai continued, O Brahmana, what pious activities did Nanda Maharaj perform by which he received the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna as his son? And what pious activities did Mother Yashoda perform that made the absolute Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna call her mother and suck her breasts? Nemam virincho na bhavo Nemam virincho na bhavo na shri api angan samshraya prasadam lebhire gopi yat tat prapa vimuktidat. Na, not imam, this love of Godhead, Virincha, Lord Brahma. Na, not Bhava, Lord Shiva. Na, nor Shri, the goddess of fortune. Api, even Anga, on the chest of Vishnu. Samshray, who is sheltered. Prasadam, favor. Lebhire, have obtained. Gopi, Mother Yashoda. Yat, which, tat, that, prap, obtained. Vimukti, that, from the person who gives liberation. The favor Mother Yashoda obtained from Sri Krishna, the bestower of liberation, was never obtained even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva, nor even by the goddess of fortune, who always remains on the chest of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Purport. This is a statement of Srimad Bhagavatam 10.9.20. Krishna agreed to be bound by Mother Yashoda after she had given up trying to bind Krishna with ropes. This is another appreciation made by Sukadev Goswami in his narration of the pastimes of Krishna before Maharaj Parikshit. Prabhu kahe eho tamage kahara, Raya kahe kanta prema sarva sadhya sara. Prabhu kahe, the Lord replied, Eho uttama, this is very good. Age, ahead. Kaha, speak. Ara, more. Raya kahe, Raya kahe, Ramananda Rai replied, Kanta Prema, loving service between husband and wife, Sarva Sadhya Sara, the highest perfectional stage. The Lord said, your statements are certainly getting better and better, one after the other, but surpassing all of them is another transcendental mellow, and you can speak of that as the most sublime. Ramananda Rai then replied, conjugal attachment for Krishna is the topmost position in love of Godhead. Purport. In general, love of Godhead is devoid of the intimacy of ownership. In the case of love in servitude, there is a want of confidence. There is a want of increased affection in the fraternal relationship. And even when this affection increases in the parental relationship, there is nonetheless a want of complete freedom. However, when one becomes a conjugal lover of Krishna, everything lacking in the other relationships is completely manifest. Love of Godhead lacks nothing in the conjugal stage. The summary of this verse is that fraternal love of Godhead is certainly higher than fraternal love, and that conjugal love is yet higher. It was when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested Ramananda Rai to go further that he came to the point of the conjugal relationship, which is the highest perfectional stage of transcendental love. Nayam Shriyo Anga Nayam Shriyo Anga Unitantarate Prasada Swaryo Nalina Gandharacham Kutonya Rasotsavesya Bhuja Danda Grihita Kantha Labdha Sisamya Udagad Vraja Sundarinam. Not I am this Shriya of the goddess of fortune, Ange on the chest, you who, alas, Nitantarate, who is very intimately related, Prasada, the favor, Swa of the heavenly planets, Yoshitam, of women, Nalina, of the lotus flower, Gandha, having the aroma, Rucham, and bodily luster, Kuta, much less, Anya, others, Rasa Utsave, in the festival of the Rasa dance, Asya, of Lord Sri Krishna, Bhuja, Danda, by the arms, Grahita, embraced, Kantha, their necks, Labda Ashisham, who achieved such blessing, Ya, which Udgat, become manifest, Vraja Sundarinam, of the beautiful gopis, the transcendent girls of Vrajabhumi. When Lord Sri Krishna was dancing with the gopis in the Ras Lila, the gopis were embraced around the neck by the Lord's arms. This transcendental favor was never bestowed upon the goddess of fortune or the other consorts in the spiritual world, nor was such a thing ever imagined by the most beautiful girls in heavenly planets. Girls with bodily luster and aroma resemble the beauty and fragrance of lotus flowers. And what to speak of worldly women, who may be very, very beautiful according to material estimation? Purport. This verse, Bhagavatam 10.47.60, was spoken by Uddhav when he visited Sri Vrindavan to deliver a message from Krishna to the gopis. Uddhava remained in Vrindavan to observe the activities of the gopis there. When he saw the ecstatic love for Krishna in separation manifested by the gopis, he appreciated their supreme love and therefore expressed his feelings in this verse. He admitted that the fortune of the gopis could not be compared even to the fortune of the goddess of fortune, to say nothing of beautiful girls in the heavenly planets.
Okay. Yeah. So such a coincidence that for the Janmashtami class, I selected this topic of Uddhav visiting Vrindavan and delivering the message of Krishna. So it's a very amazing and very unique pastime. So many secrets are revealed in that pastime. Uh, Generally, this is not a very common pastime which is spoken during Janmashtami, but I think I wanted to share the dynamics of loving relationship between the mind of Krishna, the mind of the gopis, and the mind of his very beloved associate Uddhava. So yeah, so I will be sharing so many wonderful, amazing uh, you can say dynamics of relationship between Krishna and his devotees. And so I will be speaking about Uddhav's visit to Vrindavan, and I'll be also speaking about Krishna's returning to Vrindavan. So generally we hear that Krishna does not return to Vrindavan once he has left Vrindavan. He's going to Mathura Dwarka, but we don't hear about his returning back to Vrindavan. So I will be speaking about that, whether Krishna returns to Vrindavan or not. It's a very, very extremely interesting concept. A lot of tattva here. So yeah, I mean, it's going to be, I think, unique because so many things are involved to understand Krishna's pastimes with the devotees. All these rasas and tattvas, they will be uh, they will come out from understanding these pastimes in detail. So I request every one of you, please attend on Thursday. Now I have already kept it on Thursday, and it will be. I think it will be really interesting class. So yeah, so I think Rajiv Prabhu and Swati Mataji, you will be attending, right? Angel Mataji also. What about Nirvika? Are you still unsure?
I'll try to attend, Prabhuji. I might join a bit late, but I'll try to attend. Matlab, I think it's at 8 o'clock, right? I think you've mentioned over there.
Yeah, why? Because I think it may take up to 4 hours for
Okay.
me to cover
Oh,
so many points.
Bapre. Okay.
Because I mean, I'm just comparing to what I had prepared for Balram Jayanti, and that
Okay.
class also took around 3 hours. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
based on that, I think the content for Janmashtami class is much expensive. I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, so I'm thinking that it may take up to 4 hours. Not sure. Maybe we can cover early also. And that's
Okay.
why, I mean, initially I was thinking of starting after 8:30, but then when I was preparing the content, I thought that it may take some more time also. So let me start early. Otherwise, by the time it is like 12 o'clock or 11:30 or 11, I think devotees may doze off probably. And that's why I wanted to do it on Janmashtami day, because then the time will easily pass from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock. But yeah, most of the devotees were not available, so that's why we have shifted this to Thursday. And yeah, I would also request devotees if they would like to invite their friends, or they would like to share this in the groups. I mean, last time I think in the Balram Jayanti class there were 2 new people who had joined, but I don't know, they just joined to uh, kind of check it out, because after 5 minutes they went away. So I don't know where these devotees come from, but yeah, but you are free to invite other devotees also. So Janmashtami and festival classes are open for everyone. Anyone can participate, but not CC. CC is very restricted, very limited to those who are extremely regular. And then Srila Prabhupada class is also open to everyone. I mean, they, if possible, they should attend as much as they can, but there is no compulsion. Okay, yeah. Let's go ahead. Okay, so
Only
Swati
one
Madhani,
point.
would you like to?
One
Yeah,
point here. Uh, here it is said that Krishna puts his arms around the necks of the gopis, and they are very fortunate. And even the goddess of fortune does not have that position. Correct?
hmm,
So, but goddess of fortune is the wife of Narayana, right?
yeah.
And we can say that she must have been embraced by Lord Narayana. Can we say
Yeah,
that?
yeah,
So then, when Narayana's put his arms around her neck, so isn't she as fortunate as the gopis in that case?
yeah. Yeah, okay. So this is a good point. See, the way the gopis were embraced by Krishna, that was definitely a very different type of ras altogether. It all depends on the intimacy, level of intimacy. Uh, we have to note one thing, that what to speak of Lakshmi, even Parvati also, she is embracing Lord Shiva. So there is the pastime of Chitraketu Maharaj. He is seeing that in front of the assembly, Shiva and Parvati, they are embracing each other. So obviously that kind of embrace must have been there between Lakshmi Narayan also, but uh, it's not so intimate. It's not manifested in full uh, rasa, like the way it happens in Krishna's pastimes. And the speciality of Krishna's pastime is that the form of the Lord is the most attractive form. That's why we have this Roop Madhurya, one of the unique qualities of Krishna, which even Vishnu does not possess. So there is an instant where there's a pastime where Lakshmi also, she wanted to leave the association of Narayana and she wanted to associate with Krishna. But she couldn't get the association of Krishna because she couldn't follow in the footsteps of the Braj Gopis, right? That's why she couldn't attain that kind of fortune. Uh, Whereas you see, Lakshmi Narayan intimacy may be private, it is not open. But here we can see that when Krishna is embracing in the Ras Lila, so it's not a private event as such. Although there are a lot of private events also where there are extremely intimate pastimes between Krishna and the gopis, but Krishna is also doing it openly in the Ras Lila. So there is no Ras Lila with Lakshmi and Narayan. They cannot do Ras Lila. Okay. In fact, I will tell you one thing, that when Krishna performed Ras Lila in Dwarka, that was not even close to the Ras Lila which he performed in Vrindavan. So it was a reflection of the original Ras Lila that he has performed in Vrindavan. But even the Ras Lila performed in Dwarka cannot be compared to that in Vrindavan. What to speak of any type of intimacy in Vaikuntha. So in Vaikuntha, the love is actually restricted in terms of awe and reverence. So even though Lakshmi is embracing Vishnu, but that is also done very respectfully. That is also done by giving awe and reverence to Vishnu, thinking that he's the master. Okay. But here, the gopis, they actually are at a higher level than Krishna also. So they are very free. They are very open to express their emotions, and they can do anything they would like to do, because Krishna is completely purchased by their love. So there is no restriction at all for the association of gopis with Krishna as compared to Lakshmi Narayan. And everything is sweet about Krishna, everything is sweet about the gopis. So when that embrace is there, the embrace is quite intimate, and it is not restricted with any kind of awe and reverence, and not restricted to any kind of opulence of the Lord. Okay, so yeah, so this is the speciality. Like for example, you can say that if someone is occupying a very formal position uh, in the house, and someone is like, generally in the house, obviously we don't have a formal relationship, but just assume that because I just wanted to give an analogy how to compare between the love of Lakshmi Narayan and the gopis and Krishna. So even if they are in Vaikuntha, but still there is some kind of formal atmosphere surrounding them. That's why they cannot get very intimate, and Lakshmi also has restrictions. She will not be able to go deeply into that kind of intimate activity, because she will have this feeling that she will have that kind of fearful attitude that, oh, I cannot go beyond this level. I have to restrict myself because the Lord is my master. Okay, so uh, so it is like, basically in the house, if you uh, if there is an assembly of people around you, uh, then you know you have that uh, formal type of embracing, because you cannot, it's very awkward for you. But with Krishna and the gopis, it is like you are never in the formal environment, and that's why you are openly able to express yourself. So this is the difference. I mean, it's quite a weird analogy, but I think probably you must have understood what I'm saying. Yeah. So this is not just about embrace, but it is also about getting more intimate in that relationship, which is not described openly. Okay, but there is restriction to Lakshmi to do that with Narayan. Yeah. So does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Swati Mati, would you like to continue?
Prabhuji, is it okay if I read first, then later I might not be able to read, I'll just be able to hear, if Swati Mataji is okay with that?
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay. 2881. Tasam avirabhut chore smayamana mukhambujaha pitambaradharas sragvi sakshan manmatah. Tasam, among them, Avirabhut appeared, Shure, Lord Krishna, Shyamana, smiling, Mukha Ambuja, with a face like a lotus flower, Pita Ambaradhara, wearing yellow garments, Sargvi, garlanded with flowers, Sakshat, directly, Manmatha of Cupid, Manmataha, the bewilderer. Suddenly, due to their feelings of separation, Lord Krishna appeared among the gopis dressed in yellow garments and wearing a flower garland. His lotus face was smiling, and he was directly attracting the mind of Cupid. This verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-2. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:32-2. When the Rasa dance was going on, Krishna suddenly disappeared, and the gopis became so overwhelmed due to his separation and their intense love for him that Krishna was obliged to appear again. 2882. Krishna praptira upaya bahuvidhaya. Krishna prapti taratamya bahuta achaya. Krishna Praptira, of achieving the lotus feet of Krishna, Upai, means Bahuvidha, various, Hai, there are. Krishna Prapti. of achieving the favor of Lord Krishna. Taratamya. Taratamya. Comparisons. Bahuta. Various. Achaye. There are. There are various means and processes by which one may attain the favor of Lord Krishna. All those transcendental processes will be studied from the viewpoint of comparative importance. 2883. किंतु यारा यही रस से ही सर्वोत्तम ततस्थ हय विचारिल आचितारतम. Kintu, nevertheless, Yara, of some devotees, Yei Rasa, whatever the mellow of exchanges of love, say that Sarvottama, the best, Tatastha, neutral, Hai, being, Vicharile, if considering, Ache, there is, Taratama, lower and higher levels. It is true that whatever relationship a particular devotee has with the Lord is the best for him. Still, when we study all the different methods from a neutral position, we can understand that there are higher and lower degrees of love. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that this verse does not advocate the whimsical invention of some methods of love of Godhead. Such inventions cannot be accepted as topmost. Indeed, such concoctions are not recommended in these verses. Srila Rupa Goswami has said in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 12101, Shruti Smriti Puranardi Pancharatrika Vidhim Vina Ekanta ki Harer Bhakti Upayateva Kalpate. He clearly mentions in this verse that one must refer to the Vedic literatures and others, supplementary literatures, and follow the conclusion of the Vedas. An invented devotional attitude simply creates disturbances in the transcendental realm. If a person overly addicted to family life takes to Srimad Bhagavatam or Krishna consciousness to earn a livelihood, his activity is certainly offensive. One should not become a caste guru and sell mantras for the benefit of mundane customers, nor should one make disciples for a livelihood. All these activities are offensive. One should not make a livelihood by forming a professional band to carry out congregational chanting, nor should one perform devotional service when one is attached to mundane society, friendship, and love. Nor should one be dependent on so called social etiquette. All of this is mental speculation. None of these things can be compared to unalloyed devotional service. No one can compare unalloyed devotional service, Krishna consciousness, to mundane activities. There are many unauthorized parties pretending to belong to the Sri Chaitanya cult, and some are known as Aula, Baula, Kartabhaja, Nira, Daravesha, Shani, Sakhi Bheki, Smarta, Jhat Kosai, Ativedi, Chudadhari, and Gaurang Nagari. Moreover, there are those who take the caste Goswamis' opinions of such parties as bona fide, comparing these opinions to those of the six Goswamis headed by Sri Rup and Sri Sanatan. This is simply another cheating process. There are also non-devotees who compose unauthorized songs, who establish different temples for money, who worship the deity as priests for salaries, who accept caste Brahmanism as all in all, and who do not know the value of a pure Vaishnav. Actually, the caste Brahmins of the Smarta community are opposed to the principles of the Sattvat Pancharatra. Furthermore, there are many Mayavadis and those overly addicted to material sense enjoyment. None of these can be compared to a person who is purely engaged in preaching Krishna consciousness. Every Krishna conscious person is constantly endeavoring to utilize different transcendental devices in the service of the Lord. Such a devotee renounces all material enjoyment and completely dedicates himself to the service of his spiritual master and Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He may be a perfect celibate, a restrained householder, a regulated vanaprasth, or a Tridandi sannyasi in the renounced order. It doesn't matter. The pseudo-transcendentalists and the pure devotees cannot be compared, nor can one argue that a person can invent his own way of worship. The purport in presenting this verse necessitates explaining the comparative positions of the transcendental mellows known as Shanta, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. All these rasas or mellows are situated on the transcendental platform. Pure devotees take shelter of one of them and thus progress in spiritual life. Actually, one can take shelter of such spiritual mellows only when one is completely uncontaminated by material attachment. When one is completely free from material attachment, the feelings of the transcendental mellows are awakened in the heart of a devotee. That is Swarup Siddhi, the perfection of one's eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord. Swarup Siddhi, the eternal relationship with the Supreme Lord, may be situated in any one of the transcendental mellows. Each and every one of them is as perfect as the others. But by comparative study, an unbiased person can realize that the mellow of servitorship is better than the mellow of neutrality, that the mellow of fraternity is better than the mellow of servitorship, that the parental mellow is better than that of fraternity, and that above all other mellows is the mellow of conjugal love. However, these are all spiritually situated on the same platform because all these relationships of perfection in love are based on a central point, Krishna. These mellows cannot be compared to the feelings one derives from demigod worship. Krishna is one, but the demigods are different. They are material. Love for Krishna cannot be compared to material love for different demigods. Because Mayavadis are on the material platform, they recommend the worship of Shiva or Durga, and they say that worship of Kali and Krishna are the same. Kali and Krishna are the same. However, on the spiritual platform, there is no demigod worship. The only worshipable object is Krishna. Therefore, although there is no difference between a devotee in Shantaras or Dasyaras, Vatsalyaras or Madhuryaras, one can still make a comparative study of the intensity of love in these different transcendental positions. For example, it may be said that Dasyaras is better than Shantaras, yet transcendental love of God is there in both of them. Similarly, we can judge that love of Godhead in fraternity is better than love of God in neutrality and servitorship. Similarly, love of Godhead in parental affection is better than love in fraternity. And as stated before, love of God in the conjugal rasa is superior to that in the parental rasa. The analysis of different types of love of Godhead has been made by expert acharyas who know all about devotional service on the transcendental platform. Unfortunately, inexperienced and unauthorized persons in the mundane world, not understanding the transcendental position of pure love, try to find some material fault in the transcendental process. This is simply impudence on the part of the spiritually inexperienced people. Such fault finding is symptomatic of unfortunate mundane wranglers.
Okay. Uh, okay. So Madhurya Rasa is the highest ras, and it also includes the lower four rasas, and the Vatsalya ras includes the other three rasas, and the Sakya ras includes the other two rasas also, and then Dasya also includes Shanta, like that. So that's why Madhurya ras includes everything. It includes all the other four rasas also, and that's why it is the highest type of ras that one can attain. Yeah. So even for Raganuga Bhaktas, it's very important to have the understanding of scriptures. Although they don't base their faith on the Supreme Lord, uh, depending on Guru Sadhu Shastra. So the faith is not dependent, which means that uh, they are inspired spontaneously by the activities of the Rajvasis, and that's how they advance in spiritual life. They don't necessarily think, or they don't have to depend on the scriptures to guide them or to advise them that they have to perform bhakti, they have to do this, they have to do that. So it is based on their spontaneous devotion for the Lord that they will automatically do all these things. But at the same time, one thing is there, these Raganuga Bhaktas also, even though they may temporarily disregard or they may not follow certain injunctions of the Shastra, but overall, if you see, they will follow everything which is there in the Shastra, and especially the Ras Tattva, that they will definitely follow in the sense that it's automatic for them. So even if they are quite advanced and they are trying to render service to Krishna without the injunctions of Shastra, but none of the activities of these Raganuga devotees or Ragatmika devotees, it will ever contradict the Tattva, Siddhant, and the Ras which is given in the scriptures. So that's why Rup Goswami also stated this in the Bhakti Samrit Sindhu. And he makes it very clear that Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidindina Ekantiki Harer Bhakti Utpat Eva Kalpate. So one creates only disturbance in society because you cannot generate ras and you cannot artificially come out with something. If you do that, then obviously it is very clearly observed. And especially those who are expert in Ras Shastras, they can clearly understand that because each and everything is described in the Shastra. So when we refer to Shastra, we specifically mean the Bhakti Shastras, and specifically for the devotees of Krishna, we mean the Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and those which are similar in mood with these scriptures. So these scriptures should be understood thoroughly. In fact, even Raganuga devotees also, they would thoroughly understand the scriptures, because the Bhagavatam is full of ras. CC is also full of ras, and it is actually the way of cultivating their sentiments and to also follow in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis. So these two scriptures, they highly support and are favorable for the advancement of the devotees in Raganuga's uh, bhakti also. That's why all these other great advanced Vaishnavas, they will also never reject Shastra. In fact, they will relish Shastra more and more. Especially the Srimad Bhagavatam 10th canto is there, and obviously Chaitanya Charitamrita, the entire Leelas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Adi Leela to the Antya Leela. They will relish those pastimes because these are full of ras, and they are also in the spirit of following the footsteps of the Vrajvasis. So they are displaying the sentiments of the Vrajvasis every now and then. That's why they will never reject these Shastras. So there is no question of rejecting Shastra. In fact, you will see that most of the Acharyas, Goswamis who have incarnated or who have descended from the spiritual world, they have elaborately commented on the Srimad Bhagavatam. So especially in our Sampradaya, or if you consider the Vallabh Sampradaya or the Nimbarka Sampradaya, where we have a similar path of worship for Radha and Krishna. So we'll see that how all these acharyas, they have extensively commented on the Srimad Bhagavatam, and they have spoken about the Ras Tattva also, and they have also explained the Tattva behind the Lila. Okay, so this is very important. So these things, these feelings, these emotions, they cannot be artificially created. It has to come spontaneously, it should come naturally. And Shastra gives the direction of how to attain these emotions by following a process. Okay, so those who reject Shastras, obviously they have some ulterior motive. Okay, so we cannot follow their guidance. We cannot. I mean, we have to reject them also, because they reject Shastras, they reject the parampara and all. Yeah, so yeah, even if a devotee does not come into a parampara, if a person is very pure right from the beginning, but you will see that the behavior of the devotee is aligned with the intention of the Shastra. It does not contradict the Shastra. Okay, so that's how we can understand and discriminate who is a bona fide devotee, who is not a bona fide devotee, like that. Okay, any comment or question?
Prabhuji, if some devotees are very pure, but they don't come in any sampradaya, then how would we know about them? I think such cases would be quite rare, maybe like maybe not so much, or it might be just, or even if they are there, like it might not be so easy for us to know that they are like pure or something of that sort.
Yeah, see, it is also dependent on the intention and the motive of the devotee. Like we have some examples in the past, like Mirabai is there. Generally, we hear that she did not have, she was not connected to any guru, or she didn't have any parampara, and then obviously there are others, um, maybe Narsim Mehta or some other few other devotees also. And then especially in the Varkari Sampradaya also we see devotees of Lord Pandurang. And then we also have the Vrajvasis, right? So we don't hear that they have gurus, or they think that Giriraj is their guru. Now, to say that Giriraj is the guru is practically as good as saying that they don't have any guru, right? Because they are considering the Lord as their guru ultimately, or the Lord being as a devotee as a guru. Okay, but the fact is that Giriraj is not physically present. So how does Giriraj guide them? So how is Giriraj Guru of the Vrajvasis? Okay, so there are devotees who do not have Guru, they are not connected to Parampara, but it is possible that they are very advanced, and that advancement comes from the previous lifetime, and they have some special mercy of the Lord also in order to take birth in the Dham. So obviously, when we talk about Vrajvasis, they are the they have the special mercy of the Lord. That's why they have taken birth in the Dham itself. Uh, and so I would say that not all the Vrajvasis are like pure devotees. And Prabhupada also said that if a Vrajvasi is committing sin in Vraj, then he will come back in animal form in the next life. He will take birth in Vraj because if he's attached to Vraj, he's staying there. He will come to Vraj, and then after finishing off that animal form of life, in the third life he will go back to Godhead. That's the special potency of Vraj. Uh, okay, because there is no chance of committing any sin in the animal form. That's why just by taking shelter of the Dham in an offenseless way, you go back to Godhead. So that's what Prabhupada said, that the third life you go back to Godhead. Whereas Mirabai is concerned, yeah, I mean, I don't know if she took association of if she had any Diksha Siksha Guru or she was connected to any Sampradaya. Obviously, I do know that she had got association of Jiva Goswami. Uh, but it was, I don't know if that was a Siksha disciple relationship, and if that was a continued relationship in terms of taking guidance from someone. So that's why it is said that Mira Road, Mirabai, sorry, Mirabai, so she could not go to Vraj because she could not follow in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis. Okay, although she worshipped Krishna as Girdhari, the one who is the lifter of Govardhan, but it is said that she went to Dwarka because she did not follow in the footsteps of the Vrajvasis. So anyone who does not follow in the footsteps of Vraj, of the Vraj gopis, the Vrajvasis, they cannot attain Vraj. Um, yeah, so this is actually, and in fact, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that there is a section in Goloka known as Aishwarya Golok, where you attain Radha and Krishna in Aishwarya Bhav. So even in Goloka also there is division. There is the Madhurya Golok and there is the Aishwarya Golok. And those who are attached to the forms of Radha and Krishna, but they approach Radha and Krishna in Aishwarya Bhav, they will go to that Aishwarya Golok. And those who are completely worshipping Radha and Krishna in Madhurya Bhav, following the footsteps of Vrajvasis, they attain that Madhurya Golok. Okay, so there are divisions even within Golok Vrindavan. And definitely Mirabai, because she was not following the footsteps of Vrajvasis, so she would have probably not gone to Madhurya Golok. Maybe she attained Aishwarya Golok, or maybe she went to Dwarka. And I think she was also residing in Dwarka, or she was worshipping Dwarkadish, right? And she had merged in the body of Dwarkadish.
That's what they said, that Priya, that she merges in Dwarkadish. And she considered Krishna as her husband, not as a lover as such, but as a husband.
Okay, yeah. But in one particular purport by Prabhupada in Bhagavatam, he writes that Mirabai used to worship the Krishna, the lifter of Govardhan. Yeah, Giridhari, like that. So, okay. So anyways, yeah, so there may be pure devotees because bhakti is independent. As I said earlier, that anything which is connected to Krishna or his Shakti, they are all transcendental. And that's why you cannot limit that to the rules and regulations of the Shastra. Krishna can even override the rules and regulations of Shastra, and he can manifest himself wherever he wants. He can manifest bhakti also in people without any rules and regulations. So someone may get bhakti instantaneously without following any rules and regulations without performing sadhana bhakti. That's called kripa siddh. And one can also get so basically bhakti will manifest independently, and so it can manifest in some devotees, but these are definitely exceptional cases. Yeah, so regarding whether they are actually bona fide or not, I think that's what we have already discussed, that if they follow the intention of the Shastra, even if they are not referring to Shastra, but they will not contradict the Shastra. Especially the Ras Tattva will be preserved. Okay, there won't be Rasabhas. So these things will be natural for them, but just that they are not like taking shelter of scripture so much. But at the same time, all these sentiments, emotions that they are displaying, like for example, we know what is Uttama Bhakti from the definition of from the definition given by Rup Goswami. We know what is Uttama Bhakti, and if they are fitting into that category of definition, then probably they are also at the level of Uttama Bhakti. But one thing is there, that kind of bhakti has to be steady. It has to be continuous, Anushilanam. Okay, so if they are displaying certain emotions for some time and then later on they fall to bad habits, then obviously we can understand that they are just trying to show off. There is no genuine devotion there. It's a semblance of bhakti, or it's a semblance of bhav. But if they are continuously without, along with following the four regulative principles, if they are continuously displaying emotions and they are completely dependent on Supreme Lord, then yeah, maybe it is possible that they are bona fide devotees, they are genuine devotees. So it all depends on the type of faith they have in the Lord, the type of commitment they have. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay. Swati Mataji, would you like to continue?
Yes, Prabhuji. Text 84. Yeah, text 84. Yatottaram aso swadha vishesha lolasa mai api ratir vasanaya swadhi basate kapi kasyachit yata uttamam, one after another, aso, that swada vishesha of particular tastes, ullasa pleasing, mai empowered with, api although, rati love, vasanaya by desire, swadi sweet, bhasate appears, ka api someone, kasyachit one of them. Increasing love is experienced in various tastes, one above another. But that love which has the highest taste is the gradual succession of desires manifest itself in the form of conjugal love. This verse is from Srila Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu 2.538, and it also appears in Adi Lila, chapter 4, verse 45. 85. Purva rasera guna pare parihaya do tina ganane pancha paryanta padaya. Purva of each previous, rasera of the mellows, guna the qualities, pare in each subsequent, haya there are, the tine two, and then three, ganane in counting, pancha five, paryanta up to, vadaya increase. There is a gradual order of improvement in transcendental mellows from the initial ones to the later ones. In each subsequent mellow, the qualities of the previous mellow are manifested, counting from 2, then 3, and up to point of 5, complete qualities. 86. Gunadikaye swadadikya bade pratirase Shantadasya Sakya Vatsalera Guna Madhuryate Vaishse Guna Adike by the increase of transcendental qualities. Swada Adikya increase of taste by day increases. Rati Rase in each mellow. Shanta of neutrality, Dasya of servitude, Sakya of fraternity, Vatsalyera and of parental affection, Guna the qualities, Madhuryati in their conjugal mellows, Vaise appear. As the qualities increase, so the taste also increases in each and every mellows. Therefore, the qualities found in the Shantaras, Dasyaras, Sakyaras, and Vatsalyaras are all manifested in the conjugal love, Madhuryaras. 87. Akashadira guna ena para para bhute dhoti nikrame vade pancha prithivite. Akasa adhira of the sky, air, and so on. Guna the qualities, ena just as parapara one after another, bhute in the material elements, dhautine two and then three, krame by gradation, vade increase, pancha all five, prithivite in earth. The qualities in the material elements, sky, air, fire, water and earth, increase one after another by a gradual process of 1, 2, and 3, and at last stage in the element earth, all five qualities are completely visible. 88. Paripurna Krishna Prapte E Prema Haite E Prema Rāsa Krishna Kahi Bhagavante. Paripurna, completely full, Krishna Prapti, achievement of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna. A. This Prema, love of Godhead. Ete, from. A. Premara, of this type of love of Godhead. Vasa, under the control. Krishna, Lord Krishna. Kahe, it is said, Bhagavate in Srimad Bhagavatam. Complete attainment of the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is made possible by love of Godhead, specifically Madhurya Ras or conjugal love. Lord Krishna is indeed captivated by this standard of love. This is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam. Purport. To explain the topmost quality of conjugal love, Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami gives the example of the material elements sky, air, fire, water, and earth. In the sky space, they are the quality of sound. Similarly, in air, they are the qualities of sound and touch. In fire, there are three qualities sound, touch, and form. In water, there are four qualities sound, touch, form, and taste. Finally, in earth, there are five qualities sound, touch, form, taste, and also smell. Now, one can see that the quality of the sky is in all, namely in air, fire, water, and earth. In earth, we can find all the qualities of material nature. The same can be applied to the rasa known as Madhurya Ras or conjugal love. In conjugal love, they are the qualities of neutrality, servitorship, fraternity, and parental affection, as well as those of conjugal love itself. The conclusion is that through conjugal love, the Lord is completely satisfied. Conjugal love, Madhurya Ras, is also known as Shringara Ras. It is the conclusion of Srimad Bhagavatam that in the complete combination of loving service to the Lord, namely in conjugal love, the Supreme Lord fully agrees to be under the control of the devotee. The highest form of conjugal love is represented by Srimati Radharani. Therefore, in the pastimes of Radha and Krishna, we can see that Krishna is always subjugated by Srimati Radharani's influence.
Okay.
Mm. Shall I continue?
Yeah, okay.
89. Nahi bhakti bhutanam amritavaya kalpate dishya yad asim mad sneho bhavati nam mad apanaha. My unto me bhakti, devotional service, a certainly bhutanam of all living entities, amrita vyaya for becoming eternal, kalpate is meant, drishtya fortunately, yet what asit there is much sneha, affection for me, bhavatinam of all of you, mat apanaha, the means of getting my favor. Lord Krishna told the gopis, the means of attaining my favor is loving service unto me. Unfortunately, you are all thus engaged. Those living entities who render service unto me are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world and attain eternal life with knowledge and bliss. The fulfillment of human life is summarized in this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam 10:80-44. There are two important words in this verse: bhakti, devotional service, and amrit, amritattva, eternal life. The aim of human life is to attain the natural possession of eternal life. This eternal life can be achieved only by devotional service. 90. Krishnera pratigna drida sarvakale ache e haiche bhaje Krishna tara bhaje taiche Krishnera of Lord Krishna. Pratigna, the promise, drida, firm, sarvakale, in all times, archi, there is a, anyone, yache, just as, bhaje, renders service, Krishna, Lord Krishna, thare, him, bhaje, reciprocates with, teche, so for all time. The Lord has made a firm promise for all time. If one renders service unto him, Krishna correspondingly gives him an equal amount of success in devotional service to the Lord. Purport. It is completely mistaken idea that one can worship Krishna in any form or in any way and still attain the ultimate result of receiving the favor of the Lord. This is a decision made by gross materialists. Generally, such men say that you can manufacture your own way of worshipping the Supreme Lord, and that any type of worship is sufficient to approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Certainly, there are different means for attaining different results in fruitive activities, speculative knowledge, mystic yoga, and austerity. Crude men therefore say that one who adopts any of these methods achieves the Supreme Personality of Godhead's favor. They claim that it doesn't matter what kind of method one adopts. A general analogy is given. If one wishes to arrive at a certain place, there are many roads leading there, and one can go to that place by any one of these roads. Similarly, these gross materialists say there are different ways to attain the favor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They claim that one can conceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead as Goddesses Durga, Goddesses Kali, Lord Shiva, Goddess Ganesh, Lord Ramachandra Krishna, the impersonal Brahman, or whatever, and one can chant the Lord's name in any way and in any form. Such materialists claim that since ultimately all these names and forms are one, the result is the same. They also give the analogy of that a man who has different names will answer if called by any one of them. Therefore, they claim there is no need to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. If one chants the name of Kali, Durga, Shiva, Ganesh, or anyone else, the result will be the same. Such claims made by mental speculators are no doubt very pleasing to mental speculators, but those who are actually in knowledge do not admit such conclusions, which are against the authority of the Shastras. A bona fide Acharya will certainly not accept such a conclusion, as Krishna clearly states in the Bhagavad Gita 9:25. Yanti deva vrata te vantritra yanti pritra vrata bhutani yanti bhutejna yanti tajnani yajinopi mam. Those who worship the demigods will take birth among the demigods. Those who worship the ancestors go to the ancestors. Those who worship ghosts and spirits will take birth among such beings, and those who worship me will live with me. Only the devotees of the Lord can be admitted to his kingdom, not the demigod worshippers, karmis, yogis, or anyone else. A person who desires elevation to the heavenly planet worships various demigods, and material nature can be pleased to offer such devotees their desired position. The material nature gives a person his own nature by which he increases affection for different types of demigods. However, the Bhagavad Gita 7:20 says that demigod worship is meant for men who have lost all their intelligence. कामैस्तैस्तैर्हृत ज्ञानः प्रपद्यन्ते ज्ञानदेवता तं तं नियमम् अष्टाय prakritya niyasasvayah. Those who Those whose intelligence has been stolen by material desires surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulations of worship according to their own natures. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, the result of such a benedictions are limited. Antavattu valam tishtam tat bhavanti alpamedasam devan devo yajoyanti madbhakta yanti mamapi. Men of small intelligence worship the demigods, and their fruits are limited and temporary. Those who worship the demigods go to the planets of the demigods, but my devotees ultimately reach my supreme planet. Bhagavad Gita 7:23. Being elevated to the heavenly planets or other material planets does not mean attaining an eternal life of knowledge and bliss. At the end of material world, all attainments of material elevations will also end. Again, according to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, only those who engage in his loving devotional service will be admitted to the spiritual world and return to Godhead, not others. Bhaktyamamapi jayanti यावन्यश्चास्मि तत्त्वता ततो मां तत्त्वतो ज्ञात्वा विशते तदनन्तरम्. One who understands me as I am, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by devotional service, and when one is in full consciousness of me, by such devotion he can enter into the kingdom of God. Impersonalists cannot understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, it is not possible for them to enter into the spiritual kingdom of God and return home back to Godhead. Actually, one attains different results by different means. It is not that all achievements are one and the same. Those interested in the four principles of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha cannot be compared to those interested in the unalloyed devotional service of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1-2 therefore says, Dharma प्रोचित कैतव वो तत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतं वेद्यं वसतं अर्थवस्तु शिवधं तपत्रयोन्मूलनं श्रीमद्भगवते महामुनि कृते किं वा त्वरः ईश्वर सद्यो हृदि अवरुध्यते त्र कीर्तिभिः शुश्रूषुभिस्तत्क्षणात्. Completely rejecting all religious activity which are materially motivated, this Bhagavad Purana propounds the highest truth which is understandable by those devotees who are pure in heart. The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all. Such truth uproots the threefold miseries. This beautiful Bhagavatam, compiled by the great sage Sri Vyasadeva, is sufficient in itself for God realization. As soon as one is attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam, he becomes attached to the Supreme Lord. Those who aspire after liberation attempt to merge into the impersonal Brahman. To this end, they execute ritualistic religious ceremonies. But Srimad Bhagavatam considers this a cheating process. Indeed, such people can never dream of returning home back to Godhead. There's a gulf of difference between the goal of dharma, artha, kama, and moksha and the goal of devotional service. The goddess Durga is the superintending deity of this material world, which is made of material elements. The demigods are simply different directors engaged in operating the departments of material activities, and they are under the influence of the same material energy. Krishna's internal potency, however, have nothing to do with the creation of this cosmic material world. The spiritual world and the spiritual activities are under the direction of the internal spiritual energy, and such activities are performed by Yogamaya, the spiritual energy. Yogamaya is the spiritual and internal energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Those who are interested in being promoted to the spiritual world and engaged in the service of the Lord attain spiritual perfection under the control of Yogamaya. Those who are interested in material promotions engage in ritualistic religious ceremony and economic development to develop sense gratification. They ultimately attempt to merge into the impersonal existence of the Lord. Such people generally become impersonalists. They are interested in worshipping Lord Shiva or goddesses Durga, but their return is 100% materialist. Following in the example of the gopis, the devotees sometimes worship the goddesses Katyayani, but they understand that Katyayani is an incarnation of Yogamaya. The gopis worshipped Katyayani Yogamaya to attain Krishna as their husband. On the other hand, it is stated in the Saptasati scripture that a Kshatriya king named Surata and a rich Vaishya named Samadhi worshipped material nature in the form of goddesses Durga to attain material perfection. If one tries to mingle the worship of Yogamaya with that of Mahamaya, considering them one and the same, he does not really show very high intelligence. The idea that everything is one is a kind of foolishness indulged in by those with less brain substance. Fools and rascals say that the worship of Yogamaya and the worship of Mahamaya are the same. The conclusion is simply the result of mental speculation, and it has no practical effect. In the material world, sometimes one gives an exalted title to an utterly worthless thing. In Bengal, this is known as giving a blind child a name like Padmalochana, which means lotus-eyed. One may foolishly call a blind child Padmalochana, but such an appellation does not bear any meaning. In the spiritual world, the absolute world, Lord is always identical with his name, fame, form, qualities, and pastime. Such identity is impossible in the material world, where the name of a person is different from the person himself. The Supreme Lord has many holy names, like Paramatma, Brahman, and the Creator, but one who worships the Lord as a Creator cannot understand the relationship between a devotee and the Lord in the five types of transcendental mellows, nor can he understand the conception of Krishna. One cannot understand the six transcendental opulence of the Lord simply by understanding the personality of Godhead as impersonal Brahman. Impersonal realization of the absolute truth is certainly transcendental, but this does not mean that one who has attained this realization can understand the Sachidananda form of the Lord. Similarly, Paramatma realization, the realization of the plenary expansion of the absolute truth within everyone's heart, is also an incomplete understanding of the absolute truth. Even a devotee of the personality of Godhead Narayana cannot actually understand the transcendental attractive feature of Krishna. Indeed, a devotee of Krishna who is attached to the sublime attractive feature of the Lord does not consider Narayana very important. When the gopis sometimes saw Krishna in the form of Lord Narayana, they were not very much attracted to him. The gopis never addressed Krishna as Rukmini Ramana. Krishna's devotees in Vrindavan addressed him as Radharamana, Nandanandana, and Yashodanandana, but not as Vasudev Nandan or Devaki Nandan. Although according to the material conception, Narayana, Rukmini Ramana, and Krishna are one and the same, in the spiritual world one cannot use the name Rukmini Ramana or Narayana in place of the name Krishna. If one does so out of poor fund of knowledge, his mellows with the Lord becomes spiritually faulty and is called rasabas, an overlapping of the transcendental mellows. The advanced devotee who has actually realized the transcendental feature of the Lord will not commit the mistake of creating a rasabas situation by using one name for another. Because of the influence of Kali Yuga, there is much rasabas in the name of extravagancy and liberal like-mindedness. Such fanaticism is not very much appreciated by pure devotees.
That was a very elaborate explanation by Prabhupada. So I think Prabhupada has covered many points, and I don't think that I have to expand on that. So if anyone has any question or comment?
Prabhuji, it's mentioned in this that there's a worship of Yogamaya and Mahamaya. So, can you give any example for worshipping of Mahamaya?
Worshipping Mahamaya means worshipping Durga.
Okay. Yogamaya, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
So how is it different, Yogamaya and
Yes.
Mahamaya?
So basically, see, actually the concept of Yogamaya is, I believe it is in the Vaishnava Sampradaya. and maybe I am not sure about whether they have this concept of Yog Maya in the Sri Sampradaya. But Yog Maya is because the Vishnu Puran does mention about the three potencies of the Swarup Shaktis of the Lord, which is Sandhini, Samvit, and Ladini potency. But I don't know, I'm not sure if they also recognize the presiding deity of Samvit potency, which is Yog Maya. So maybe they may call Yog Maya as something different in Vaikuntha. But yeah, in any case, basically, if you worship goddess Katyayani or any other demigod also in Braj, but the mood is that they want to be attached to Krishna. So, like for example, we have this, we have Purnamasi, who is actually the manifestation of Yog Maya in Braj. So they know that there is some sort of Shakti of the Lord which can make them attached to the Lord. So if that Shakti is worshipped, then they can get more intimately attached to the Lord. And so that's why they see that Shakti in relationship with Krishna. But the same Shakti, when they see in relationship with the material world, and when they remove the aspect of Krishna, then obviously it becomes Mahamaya. So it is the same yoga. So, in the Brahma Samhita also it is said that this Durga is the Chit potency, the shadow of the Chit potency of the Lord. Okay. So, Satchit Ananda. So, Chit potency is again Samvit potency. And Samvit potency is also Yog Maya. So, this shadow of Yog Maya is called Durga in the material world. So, when you perceive the shadow of Yog Maya, which means that you separate the Shakti of the Lord from Narayan or Krishna, then you see that feature in the form of Durga. But if you connect that Shakti with Krishna, then it becomes Yog Maya. So it is basically more intimately connected. It is also the internal manifestation of the Lord's energy, whereas Mahamaya is actually the external representation of the Lord's energy in the material world. Like that. So does it make sense?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay. Any other devotee, do you have any question? Yeah, this
No,
Yog Maya
Prabhuji.
is also sometimes called as Divya Saraswati. So this Divya Saraswati is not the Saraswati, the concept of Brahma, but Yog Maya, the same Yog Maya is also called as Divya Saraswati. That this Divya Saraswati is one of the Shaktis of the Lord, which is also called as Yog Maya. Yeah, because see, just as with Brahma is actually the concept of Saraswati, and Saraswati is in charge of knowledge in the material world, right? So similarly, we have so Saraswati is the prototype of that original Divya Saraswati, who is in charge of the Samvit potency, which is knowledge bestowing potency in the spiritual world, and the prototype of that in the material world is our Saraswati, which is considered of Brahma. Okay, next. ये यथा मां प्रपद्यन्ते तं तथैव भजाम्यहं मां वर्तमानुवर्तन्ते मनुष्य पार्थ सर्वशः. Ye they yatha as mam unto me prapadyante surrender, tan unto them tatha eva in the same proportion bhajami bestow by favor, aham I mama my vartama ve anuvartante follow manushya men partha my dear Arjun sarvasha in all respects. According to Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 4.11, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Yeah, so this is also, this principle is applicable for each and every living entity. Not just the non-devotees, but even for devotees. So depending on the level of surrender you have, Krishna will also bestow the similar type of sentiments and emotions in that devotee. So we have heard about the example of Putna, and then we also hear the examples of the demons who were killed by Krishna or his associates. So they attain the same destination as the devotees, right? We hear about that in the Bhagavatam. But then, did they actually attain the same type of destination in the spiritual world? Okay, let's consider the case of Putna. Putna was, I think we all know that she was promoted to the position of a nurse in the spiritual world. So, being being an enemy of Krishna, and also with the desire to kill Krishna, she attained the position of mother. And there are devotees who are also trying to cultivate Vatsalya Bhav, and they are also trying to attain the position of mother in the spiritual world, right? So now, what is the difference between these two posts? If both are attaining the same destination, why do we have to practice sadhana bhakti for such a long time? We can just cultivate the spirit of envy, or cultivate the spirit of some sentiments for Krishna, like we like the way Putna had the sentiments of a mother. Like initially, as we know that in the Vaman incarnation, she desired that she wanted to breastfeed Lord Vamana, but when she saw that Vaman was somehow Vaman cheated Bali Maharaj, so the same Putna, she became hostile to Vaman Dev, and she wanted to kill Vaman Dev, right? So in the same, I don't remember the name of Putna in the previous life, and I think she was the wife or the sister of Bali Maharaj. So she had the sentiments of, so she had two contradictory sentiments at the same time, and that's why Krishna also fulfilled the desire of Putna, and he gave the position of Dhatri or nurse because she wanted to breastfeed the Lord. Okay, and she did that in the past time as Putna. She got an opportunity to do that, so she got that position. But at the same time, we see that some devotees, they are practicing sadhana bhakti and trying to attain the Lord in a similar sentiment which Mother Yashoda also had. So what is the difference between the destinations that these two jivas attain? Is there any difference, or they attain the similar type of sentiment?
Yeah, this Prabhuji, there is difference because one is rendered like favorably and the other is not favorably.
Okay, but what is the difference then? What is the difference? If we say that there is no difference, then we are saying that whatever Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita is not justified, because he's saying that as you surrender, you will attain me accordingly, and he will reciprocate accordingly, right? But here we see that one is hostile and one is favorable towards Krishna. They are achieving the same destination. Okay, so the difference is that Putna, although she attained the position of a Dhatri, but the bliss that she experiences is the same as Brahmananda bliss. The bliss which one experiences when one merges in Brahman. Okay, so her service is very restricted. She is not so much actively involved in service, rather than like, she is in the form of Shantaras. She is just experiencing the bliss of Brahman. So even though she is a Dhatri, but the level of Prema, the intensity of Prema is very low. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, uh, some Acharya, it's basically, who is that? Vishwanath Chakra Thakur or Jeev Goswami, they say that she attained an inferior type of prema, which is even less than that which you found in the cows of Vrindavan. Okay, the cows of Vraj, they are also in Shantaras, or they also do have some active service to a small degree, and they also show, sometimes they also show some Vatsalya bhav towards Krishna. Okay, so they also have prema for the Lord, but the level of prema that Putna had is an inferior type of prema, and this is what Rupa Goswami quotes using the Brahman, the Purana, and he says that Putna actually did not attain, actually she did not attain the position of mother, because her bhav is actually mostly of that of Shantaras in the spiritual world, like that. So her service is very restricted and limited. So she cannot experience that kind of intensity of prema, which Mother Yashoda or the followers of Mother Yashoda will have. Right? So this is called justification, that it's justified. The way you surrender to Krishna, the way he will reward you accordingly, in the same way. And there is another example of a demon, I think, that's Pondrak, I think. So Pondrak also, because he was constantly imitating Krishna, and he was trying to dress himself as Krishna. He also tried to have four hands, just like Krishna had four hands with Sudarshan Chakra and all. So he was also trying to imitate Krishna, and that's why he attained Sarupya Mukti in the spiritual world. Okay, but he couldn't attain that level of prema. Again, because he was envious of Krishna, that's why he attained the bliss of Brahmananda. So he also attained a lower level of prema. Okay. So depending the way you approach the Lord will also reciprocate accordingly, and he will give you the destination accordingly. Okay. So any question or comment? Hmm? Nirvika, you have any question?
Can't hear anything.
What?
Can everyone else hear? I don't know whether there's a problem, maybe from my side or what. I'm not sure. Could be.
I can hear Nirvika.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. You can hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, okay. So maybe Nirvika, you have any comment or question, Nirvika? Oh, you are not able to hear? Okay, you can type if you have any comment or question. Haribol. Okay. Now are you able to hear?
Yeah, now I can hear. Yeah, now I can hear.
Acha, acha. Okay. Yeah, so you had any comment or question?
Yeah, I wanted to know that they so these people, they are in the spiritual world, but yet they so is it that they don't have like Shuddh Prem for Krishna, because it seems that they don't, and yet somehow they have reached the spiritual world. Whereas I thought that you needed to have at least Shuddh Prem at the minimum to reach the spiritual world.
Yeah, that is applicable for devotees who are favorable to Krishna. But if you have that same type of intensity of launching for Krishna, the way Shishupal also had, the way Kamsa also had, the way Putna, I mean, obviously these are examples of the extreme mercy of the Lord. So just to set an example that Krishna's mercy is so great. And in fact, in order to distinguish Krishna from all the other avatars, that how only Krishna can actually liberate the devotees or the demons, and even Vishnu cannot. So, in order to show that Krishna, it's a magnanimity of the Lord. Like just to set an example, how infinitely the Lord is so merciful that if someone is approaching Him with hatred, envy, lust, anger, the Lord will give them destination in the spiritual world. But at the same time, in order to reciprocate with the devotees, so that they do not feel unjustified, he also at the same time gives them a different type of destination at the same time, right? Because he has to uh, give the result according to their level of surrender. So these are cases of special mercy by the Lord. That's how they have attained. See, in the Bhagavatam also, if you see, when Yudhishthir Maharaj is having conversation with Narad Muni, Yudhishthir Maharaj, Narad Muni is telling to Yudhishthir Maharaj that no matter how you approach the Lord, if you are approaching in one of these ways. So basically what Narad Muni is saying that we are not supposed to, ideally we are not supposed to approach the Lord in these forms, in the form of lust or anger or envy in that spirit. But rather Narada wants to uh, he wants to bring out the intense absorption in such cases, and even devotees also, they may lack this kind of intense absorption in the Lord. So he's just giving some example. We can understand that this is the level of absorption that we are supposed to have when we are trying to cultivate a favorable relationship with the Lord. Okay, and this is generally not observed, especially when we are doing Vaidhi Bhakti. So as we keep advancing in spiritual life, the absorption in Krishna should become stronger and stronger, and so intense that, and obviously a devotee also, so Uttamadhikari, he will see the good in everyone, even in demons like Kamsa or Shishupal. What the Uttamadhikari will see, he will see that, and he will try to learn from them that this demon is actually a real devotee. He's the ideal devotee because he has so much absorption in Krishna. Although he is fearful of Krishna, but he's completely absorbed in Krishna. He's always thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. Whereas I am distracted in my favorable cultivation of the Lord. So basically what they are doing is they are appreciating the aspect of that demon, the favorable aspect of the demon, which is that they are absorbed, being the ability to being absorbed in Krishna. And this is what Narad Muni is actually recommending, that uh, this is worshipable. This kind of absorption is worshipable. If demons like all these demons, they can be absorbed in Krishna, then what to speak of devotees? How much absorbed they will be in Krishna, right? They can become absorbed in Krishna. So this is just an example to show the intensity of absorption. It's not to promote the mood of envy or lust or anger. Okay, so we are not supposed to cultivate non-favorable sentiments for the Lord, but we can learn from the examples of these demons also, how they were completely absorbed, they were thinking of Krishna. And see, as we have already discussed about the case of Durvasa Muni, that just by he's saying that like we have already read, he's saying that just by taking shelter of the name of the Lord, just by taking shelter of Vishnu, all sinful reactions are destroyed, right? So you can just think about the case of all these demons, when they are so absorbed in Krishna, when they are chanting Krishna's name, when they are thinking about Krishna throughout the day, obviously all the sinful reactions are gone by that process. In fact, the very fact that, like when Putna went to kill Krishna and she was trying to breastfeed the Lord, that time Krishna sucked all the poison from Putna's body, and that poison was basically her envy towards Krishna. So basically what he did, he neutralized Krishna. Krishna neutralized Putna by removing all the poison from her body. Right? This basically means that he destroyed all the sinful reactions or the reaction to the sinful activities of Putna just by coming in contact with Krishna. This is the purifying effect of the presence of the Lord or someone who comes in contact with the Lord. So Krishna can immediately destroy karma of everyone. So this is exactly what happened. Putna was completely purified in spite of her demoniac tendencies and qualities. At that particular moment, Krishna neutralized everything. And that's because, see, it is also an intention in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says that you cannot attain me unless and until you are free from all sinful reactions. Right? No one can become determined to practice bhakti unless and until they are freed from all these sinful tendencies and activities. So unless and until you are completely pure, you cannot actually go to Krishna Goloka. Okay. So Krishna removed all these anarthas, or he destroyed all these sinful reactions, and he also bestowed inferior type of prema. Okay, because again, now we have to understand one thing. He actually bestowed this prema because Putna had sentiments of Vatsalya Bhava for Krishna. In the previous life, she had that emotion, and by acting in this way in the present life as Putna, by trying to breastfeed the Lord, she was actually in the role of a mother. She was basically taking the role of a mother, right? So Krishna fulfilled all the desires. I mean, uh, he was able to uh, achieve many things simultaneously. Okay, so this is the special greatness of Krishna's mercy. Even demons are liberated. So some of the demons, they attain Sayuja Mukti, some of them they attain Sarupya Mukti, and some of them they can also attain Shantaras. Okay, and some can attain also motherly affection. It all depends. I mean, all depends on the way you approach the Lord. Yeah.
So Prabhuji, she will always have
see,
kind of love only eternally. Matlab, she can't like get more higher love. I mean, like more spontaneous love or something. She'll always have this love only for forever.
yeah, that's a good question actually. So one can also say that whether Brahma Sayuja Mukti is also eternal, because some demons also attain that Sayuja Mukti, and so does it mean that now they are eternally in that position? Yeah. So this is something which is especially, see, I can just share something about the Sayuja Mukti. Although I'm not sure about for the demons like Putna and others, they achieved a certain type of destination. Now, one way we can say that, okay, maybe that was their Sarupa, and they attained that Swarupa in the spiritual world. It just got manifested. Okay, because see, everyone is a unique individual in Krishna Lila, and everyone has a role to play in Krishna Lila. So obviously, we cannot expect that the cows, the trees, the bushes, the grass, the pillow, the paraphernalia of Lord, why they don't also have Madhurya Ras, why they are stuck at Shantaras, right? I mean, we can ask this question to the devotees in Shantaras also, that so they cannot advance to other rasas. but the fact is that they are all satisfied in their own rasa with the Lord. And no one wants to change their rasa. And this is what also Prabhupada wrote here. That saying that everyone thinks that they are perfectly situated in their own rasa with Krishna. So because they are completely satisfied in their particular rasa with Krishna, that's why they don't feel the need to advance in other rasas. Although they may appreciate, but ultimately they will think that their rasa is the most favorable for their Krishna consciousness. So they will be completely satisfied. Okay, and so we have examples of Hanuman and then Uddhava also, Narad Muni also. So everyone, all the devotees, all these devotees, they are aware that Krishna's pastime with the gopis is the ultimate, and Madhurya Rasa is the ultimate, and that of the love of Srimati Radharani is the ultimate. But they are completely satisfied in their own rasa. And we know that Uddhav also aspired to become a blade of grass in Braj. That's why he's still there in Kusum Sarovar, right? But Uddhav did not have a desire to change his rasa. Okay, that did not happen. So he wanted that kind of intensity, following the footsteps of the Braja Gopis because of their association, but he did not desire to change his rasa. Okay, so this is one way of saying that everyone is completely satisfied in their own rasa, and maybe these demons, they might have their original swarupa like that. Okay, coming to the Sayuja Mukti, yeah, this is a question that I also think about, and I feel that Sayuja Mukti cannot be eternal. In fact, Prabhupada does support what I feel. Prabhupada always writes about it, that this is a temporary liberation. Now, so there are different types of Sayuja Mukti also, or impersonal liberations. One liberation is that you attain the body of Krishna, you merge in the body of Krishna. That's the most, it's actually a hostile type of liberation, where you are envious of Krishna and you merge in the body of Krishna. Okay, and then you merge in the effulgence, the Brahman effulgence of Krishna. So this Brahman effulgence is actually a bit favorable in the sense that it is at least more it is not hostile. Okay, and it is superior type of liberation compared to someone who is merging in the body of Krishna because they want to become Krishna, and they are just thinking about becoming Krishna. So that's why they merge in the body of Krishna. Whereas there are yogis who are trying to meditate and they want to attain the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Lord. So they also attain impersonal liberation. Or there are Mayavadis who want to attain, or who say that we are all one. So they also attain the Brahman, Brahma Jyoti. Okay, thinking they are also one with the Lord. So different types of impersonal liberation, or Sayuja Mukti, you can say. And I also wonder, because Prabhupada, if you see his purports to the Sayuja Mukti or liberation in Brahman, I think he's always saying that this is temporarily position. And he says that because they do not have active service, they have to fall down, and they fall on in, or they again come back in the material world, and they start some kind of charitable institutes like the hospitals, or they get involved in social welfare activities. So yeah, so I think it should, it does not sound to be logical to me to attain that position as being eternal, because then what is the purpose of creating the jiva? Because you don't have any reciprocation from that jiva. The jiva is just merging inside the body, or he's just merging inside the effulgence of the Lord. So what is the purpose of creating the jiva then? Okay, so this is one of the questions that it seems to be illogical for me. And yeah, and on the other side, if you see, one may also think like this, that okay, So the demons are attaining the Lord by the special mercy of Krishna. They go to spiritual world. But then obviously there is also another consideration, which is that why can't the Lord give them another chance and do sadhana bhakti and attain prema and attain the higher stages of devotion? Okay, I mean, so these are possibilities, and I think that's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has come especially to give that kind of bhav to others. In fact, he also said that we can have two eternal swarupas. In fact, he even offered to Advaita Acharya and the devotees that I'm willing to give you eternal swarupa in Vrindavan, even if you have Vaikuntha Swarupa or Swarupa in Vaikuntha or with any other form of the Lord, I am willing to give you Swarupa with Krishna in Vrindavan, provided that you have faith in me. So this is described in the Chaitanya Chandrodaya Nataka by Kavi Karnapur. And this is exactly what I had also asked Bhanu Maharaj in our class uh, when he gave the class on Bhakti Samrit Sindhu. So I feel that with the coming of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these things are possible. Devotees can also attain higher rasas, and I think it all depends on the association with devotees, the sampradaya they are connected to, the influence of the Vaishnavas like that. And it is also possible that these demons may have their original swarup, or maybe the swarup has been manifested like that for the satisfaction of Krishna. Yeah, so these are possibilities, but so I mean there is no black and white answer for this. I think I mean I have not read or heard anywhere that this was the desire of Putna and this was the thing that she desired. Because see, one very important concept or principle is that Krishna will also reciprocate according to the devotee's desire. The devotee also must feel completely satisfied. So being a demon, obviously there was no question of trying to serve Krishna in a favorable way. So now maybe she could have got another chance and she could have become a devotee. That would have been better because she could have desired a relationship with the Lord in that way. Right? We can say like that. But yeah, I mean Shastra says that that she went to the spiritual world. She has got the form of that. Yeah, so these are a bit technical things, uh, and then some of these answers even I am looking for. Maybe we can ask Bhanu Maharaj when he gives class this Saturday. Is that okay?
Okay, thank you, Prabhupada.
I had asked this question to Maharaj, and he replied to me that if demons are killed by Krishna and if they attain Sayuja Mukti, then that is eternal. So I was like exchanging emails to him, and I was not completely convinced. So I also shared statements of Prabhupada, and he was mentioning that it's not mentioned anywhere in the Shastra that someone has attained after attaining Sayuja Mukti, someone has attained some rasa with Krishna, especially in reference to demons. And then I asked Maharaj if there is any reference in the Shastra which says that if a jiva is attaining Sayuja Mukti, then it is eternal. And he didn't have any reference for that also. So, but Prabhupada does favor this. He says very frequently that Sayuja Mukti is temporary. Now, exactly what Sayuja Mukti is referring to, whether it is Krishna killing the demons or whether it is the Mayavadis who merge into Brahman or the yogis who aspire to merge in the effulgence of the Lord, then we can understand that Prabhupada is saying that they come back, they fall down. But I don't know if Prabhupada said this in context with the demons. Yeah, so I think this is something that has to be researched thoroughly. Maybe there is answer to this or not. Okay, so let's stop here now. I think we have covered verse 91. Okay. So I look forward to see you on Thursday. Please try to attend. And okay, yeah, that's all. So let me stop the live stream.